this in the past, but we're going to go ahead and look at it again. So here we have two polynomials, and we're going to add the two of them. So you simply just add your like terms. So in my first polynomial, I have a 4x cubed. And I'm going to add that to a negative 5x cubed because they are the like terms. When I add 4 plus negative 5, I'm going to have a negative x cubed. And then the next term that I have is a 4x squared. And I'm going to add to that a negative 2x squared. 4 plus a negative 2 is a positive 2x squared. And then I have a 3x, negative 3x, and a negative 4x. Negative 3x plus negative 4x is negative 7x. And then the last term is I have a 10 plus negative 4, which is a positive 6. And that would just be your answer. Number 2, you're going to subtract, so make sure that you subtract every term. So you'll have 3y squared and 6y squared, and we're going to subtract 3 minus 6, which is negative 3y squared. And we have negative 4y minus negative 6. Negative 4 minus negative 6 is a positive 2y. And then we have a positive 7 minus a negative 13. 7 minus negative 13 is a positive 20. Now for the next term, the next problem, you just have to be careful when you're subtracting one polynomial from another. You actually have to subtract the first one from the second. So we are going to have 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus 7x plus 12, and we are subtracting negative 4x cubed plus 6x squared plus 9x minus 3. So when it has subtracting this from this, you actually have to switch the polynomials to subtract them properly. So for this one, we're going to again subtract our like terms. So we have 3x cubed minus negative 4x cubed. That will be 7x cubed. Then 4x squared minus 6x squared is negative 2x squared. 7x minus 9x, negative 2x. And then our constant terms, 12 minus a negative 3 is positive 15. Oh, this one in orange should be a square. Number 4, to multiply them. So you can multiply them again vertically, horizontally. You can use a generic rectangle if you like. So however you like to multiply polynomials is perfectly fine with me. I'm going to just show you the vertical way just because it's probably a way you've never seen before, but feel free to just distribute or use a generic rectangle, however you prefer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the first, or put the first term down. I'll probably need to move that up a bit. So we'll have 3x squared plus 3x plus 5. And underneath of it, I'm going to write 2x plus 3. And I'm going to multiply this vertically the same way that we would multiply back when we do like 2 digits by 2 digits. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 5, and then 3 times 3x, and then positive 3 times 3x squared. Whoops. And then once we're done, we've extinguished multiplying the 3 times all of the terms. I'm going to move to the 2x. When I do this, I'm going to put the answers underneath. So I'm going to do 2x times 5. I'm going to put that underneath the 9x because they would be like terms. So that was a positive 10x. And 2x times 3x is 6x squared. And a 2x times a 3x squared is 6x cubed. And then I'm going to add straight down. So when you add straight down, we're going to have 15, 19x, 15x squared, and a 6x cubed. And that's how you would multiply them vertically. Horizontally is just using the distributive property where you distribute one of the terms to the other polynomial at a time and then add your like terms. So it's essentially doing the same thing, just a different way of writing it. Number 5, you can multiply polynomials, and if you have 3 polynomials in any order you would like. I personally always multiply the second pair of polynomials first and then get an answer and multiply that by the third. So I'm going to go ahead and just carry down the first 2x minus 1, and then I'll multiply x minus 4 times x plus 2 using FOIL. So when you do that, you'll have x squared minus 2x minus 8 when you actually FOIL that. And then again, you can multiply in any way that you prefer. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and use a generic rectangle just so you see that method. And this is a 2 by 3 because we're going to have a 2x and a minus 1, so that's a binomial. And along the top, we'll have our x squared minus 2x minus 8, the trinomial. So on the inside, you'll have 2x to the third minus 4x squared minus 16x, negative x squared, positive 2x, and a positive 8. And then you combine your like terms. So we'll have 2x cubed, there's no other like term, negative 5x squared, that was the negative 1 and the negative 4, and negative 16 plus 2 is negative 14x, and then plus 8. For the 6, 7, and 8, they're pretty similar to ones that we've seen before, so I'm just going to go ahead and multiply the first two together, so this is just foiling it. It is the difference of two squares, and when you multiply the difference of two squares, it's almost like conjugates. The middle terms cancel out, so you'll end up with just 25t squared minus 4. So when you FOIL it, that's what you will end up with. For number 7, remember when you have a quantity squared, that means 4x minus 3 times itself, 4x minus 3. And then when you FOIL that, you'll have 16x squared minus 24x plus 9 when you FOIL. For number 8, this one will take a little bit of work. So you'll have mn minus 6, mn minus 6, and mn minus 6. That's what happens when you cube a binomial. Again, just because I always multiply the last two first, that's what I'm going to do. So when I FOIL this, remember mn times mn is m squared n squared. And then my outers and inners will give me negative 12mn. And then my last terms are positive 36. I'm going to carry down that first binomial, the one that I left out. And again, I'm going to use a generic rectangle. I think it organizes my work a little bit better. But again, you can use whatever method you prefer. This one again is a binomial times a trinomial, so a 2 by 3. So here in the first box, you're multiplying mn times m squared n squared. You add exponents when you multiply, so you have an m and an m squared, so that'll be m cubed, and an n and an n squared, which is an n cubed. And then in the top center, it'll be negative 12m squared, n squared. and then 36mn, negative 6m squared n squared, 72mn, and 36 times 6, 216. So then, combining my like terms, move it down a little bit. You'll have an m cubed n cubed minus 18m squared n squared plus 108 mn plus 216.